All right. Hey, this is Sid Owsley from the Determination Determines Destination podcast, where we share stories of the three D's: determination determines destination, the three D's to success. People who use the three D's to overcome obstacles and challenges in their life. And tonight I have with me Mr. Daniel Schaffer. Daniel has appeared on 18 television appearances, on hundreds of stages around the world. He's a best-selling author, a master mentalist, and a Les Brown certified speaker. Please welcome Daniel Schaffer. How are you tonight, Daniel?
I'm doing really great. How about you?
Doing fantastic, man.
He's chuckling because he forgot to hit go live. We were recording for
Oh,
like 5 minutes. But that's okay because that determination, we're still going to make it. We're still going to have a really great podcast. And I'm so grateful to be able to be on here. Thank you so much for inviting me. So, how have I used determination to go through? It's really an interesting thing because I shouldn't have the success that I have. I mean, even as far back as just 3 years, so not even that far back ago, I was really stuck in a victim mentality. I was not successful. I didn't have opportunities, and I felt like I was just trapped in this life that I didn't want. And it really stems back to my childhood. You see, I grew up lower middle class, so I had it better than some, but I didn't have all the privileges that a lot of the other people that I went to school with had. But on top of that, I dealt with something that no one should have to deal with. I dealt with child abuse, and I actually had the trifecta. I had the physical, the emotional, and the sexual abuse, and all of that really just destroyed my mentality. It destroyed my confidence, and it actually gave me PTSD and borderline personality disorder, things that really impacted my early adulthood. And so as I went out of high school, as I went into college, I had that determination, but I was stuck in a victim mentality, and I was stuck feeling like I couldn't ever achieve success. I couldn't actually get what it is that I wanted in life. And I was stuck in addiction. I was stuck in just this terrible cycle. And it wasn't until I finally went to rehab for my addiction when my therapist sat me down and looked me in the eyes and he said, being a victim is a choice. And that's a very dangerous thing to say for some people because we don't want to victim shame anyone because you don't choose to be victimized. But what he said made me realize that I didn't choose to become a victim, but I do choose to remain a victim because I can make the choice to become a survivor. And as soon as I changed that, my entire mentality changed. As soon as I decided that I wanted to fight, everything that I dealt with, the PTSD, the borderline personality disorder, the addiction, all of those things I could overcome if I decided that I was going to fight. And so in that moment, I made the decision, I made that determination that I was going to change my life. I was going to work as hard as I could so that I could overcome the PTSD, I could overcome the borderline, and I could finally reclaim my life and start having joy, start having the life that I really wanted. And that one thing, it changed my entire life. And since then, I'm a best-selling author. I've got a book. I've got another book that I'm in the process of writing. I've got some online courses. I study stoicism and I help other people. Not only that, but I've actually become one of the top 100 corporate magicians and mentalists in the entire country. And it's just incredible. I get up on these stages and I get to perform and I get to do magic and blow their minds, entertain them. But then at the end, I do that motivational message that really tugs at their heartstrings and lets everyone in that audience know that they matter and know that they're appreciated, and that connects everyone. And so I get to go out there and I get to make a difference. I get to stand on stages. I get to appear on these podcasts and I get to tell my story and make a difference. And it was because when I was at the lowest point, I made a decision and I stuck to that decision that I didn't want the past that I had to live to be my future. I wanted to set a new destination. And that destination, it's taken a while to get there, and I'm still on that path. But every single one of you that are listening to this right now, whatever you've been through, whatever you're going to go through, because we all go through things. Nobody has an easy life. Things happen to all of us. Whatever you've been through, whatever you're going to go through, you can overcome it. And you can have success.
That's an awesome story, Daniel.
Thank you.
Yeah, you've done great, man. To overcome, like you said, to overcome what you've gone through, that shift in perspective that you were given, like you said, just changed everything. And
It did.
a lot of times that's all it takes is, looking at things in a different way for us to change the way we see things and go on a different path. That's awesome that you were able to do that.
Thank you. Yeah, it's interesting how it all works. You see, as a mentalist, I do a lot of the mind reading and psychic magic.
Mm-hmm.
And my job is to trick people for entertainment. And so I create illusions and I mess with people's minds and everything. But as I've done that, I've realized how easy it is for our minds to be tricked.
Mm.
And the thing is that we are constantly tricking ourselves. Oh, I can't do that. Yeah. I don't deserve that. I'm not gonna, I can't have that life. I can't have that success. I'll never be a millionaire. Those are all lies.
Yeah.
They're all fake. We are tricking ourselves in our mind. Yeah. And that's one of the things I talk about in my course, Create Your Own Luck, is how we have to take those negative cognitions and we have to challenge them. Instead of I can't do that, say, how can I do that? And then when we have that, I'm not good enough, you do something called face it and replace it. So you look at it and you go, I am good enough. And if that doesn't sound right, you say, I am becoming good enough. Mm-hmm. Because if you can't say that I am good enough, you can always say that I am becoming good enough. Yeah. Because becoming it's a process and you can be anywhere on that spectrum. So if you have those negative cognitions, if you ever feel down on yourself, just change the way that you hear it in your mind. Change it, face it, and replace it. And that's the start of changing your perspective.
That's right. That's great. It's great advice. Being a mentalist, everybody thinks that their thoughts are their own. They have their own free thoughts. And yeah, you just chuckle because just with what the media, the influence we have going on out here, that's not true. But we still have a choice in being able to change that.
Yeah, I'll actually give you an example here. This isn't gonna work for everyone, but watch how many people this works for. Everyone that's watching this right now, I want you to clear your mind. And I want you to think of a number between 1 and 5, real quick. First one that jumps in your head. 4. And if you thought of 3, I want you to type that in the comments and say, that was my number. Yeah. And it's not going to work for everyone, but you'll see that it works for most people. Mm-hmm. We can try it again. Think of a number between 1 and 10. First one that pops into your head. Most people are going to think 7. Wow. And we can try it again with a vegetable. I want you to just think of a vegetable. And a tomato is not a vegetable. Damn. See? Yeah. But if you thought of a carrot, go ahead and type, that was my vegetable. Mm-hmm. Now, as we go back, as people watch this and everything, as they type in the comments, we'll see how many people actually line up with that. Because that's an interesting thing about our thoughts is the way that we grew up, the culture that we had, the TV that we watched, the religions that we went to, our entire cultural experience has shaped the way that we see the world. Mm-hmm. And unfortunately with that, as we grow up, we're told no. We're told, no, you have to settle. No, you can't do that. We hear no so many times that that's one of the things we start to believe as well. And we start putting these limitations on ourselves. When we were kids, we could be anything that we wanted. If you wanted to be a doctor, you could be a doctor. If you wanted to be a scientist, you could be a scientist. If you wanted to be an astronaut, you could be an astronaut. But then as we grew up, we started putting limitations on ourselves. And the people who went out and became doctors, who became astronauts, they didn't listen to those limitations. Yep. And the thing is no matter where you're at in life, you can still remove those limitations and you can, from this point on, live the life that you deserve.
That's so true. That's so true. Just change your perspective. Yeah. So, in how did you get into being a mentalist? How that's not a field that like you said, people talk about being a doctor or a lawyer. How did you get into being a mentalist?
So it's actually, I've got a couple of stories. I'll tell you the true story here. So the true story is when I was 7 years old, I was, I didn't have the best childhood, but I was watching TV and I saw Lance Burton on television, and he was making the elephants disappear, and he was doing all of these big things, and then I watched as he said, "All right, all of you kiddos at home, go and find a penny." And so I ran and I got a penny. And he said, "Okay, go ahead and put it in your hand. Now put your other hand on top. Now flip it. Now flip it back. Close your hand around it. Wave your hand over the top. Say Lance Burton, Lance Burton, Lance Burton. And then put it under your pillow. And in the morning, it will be $1. And make sure you tell your folks." Well, I did that whole process. I put it under my pillow. I said, "Mom, this penny's going to turn into $1. Lance Burton said that it would." And then in the morning, it was $1. And it was the first time I had ever experienced magic. And I immediately fell in love with it. And so I started going to the library. When I got my library card, I would check out magic books at the library. My mom would get me the little tiny magic kits and stuff. And it was something that I just fell in love with ever since I was a kid. And then when I was in college, I wasn't sure what I wanted to do. I was dealing with the PTSD. I was dealing with the borderline. I was self-sabotaging. So I changed my major like 5 different times. I've got like 5 different degrees, 3/4 of the way completed. and and so while I was doing that, I ended up getting laid off of my minimum wage job because they wouldn't work with my school schedule. And I was looking at my bills. I was going, how am I going to pay rent? How am I going to buy food? And so I grabbed a deck of cards and I grabbed a rope and I went out on the streets of Salt Lake City and I just started doing magic. And that first day, I made $176. And I thought, wow, that was a ton of money for me. That was so much money. And so I took half of it and I bought a business license, and the other half I went and bought food. And then I started going back, and people started asking, "Hey, do you do shows?" And so I put together a show. And then as soon as people started asking if I did shows, I realized, hey, there's something to this. And so I started taking classes in school, psychology, business. I started taking communications. I started building my own education that would help me with my business. I ended up moving on to corporate magic. And then as I was doing corporate, I realized, wow, there's so many things these companies could be doing better. There's so many different ways that they could be connecting with their people. And so I found myself a mentor who had actually worked in the corporate world. I started talking with CEOs, vice presidents, and all these different people about what problems they were seeing in their business and finding ways that I could come in and help solve their problems. And now I still get to do my show, but my show's a little different. My show, I connect the company with the experience. Every time something magical happens, they're saying the company name. I close with the motivational message, but even more than that, when someone hires me for an event, I come in as a consultant. I teach them how to invite their people to the event, how to structure the event, how to set up the flow of the event, how to do the structure of the mingling versus when you have the dinner, how to set up the buffet table so that there's not any delays. I find every single problem that there can be and I stop it before it happens. And so my job now is not just to come in and do the magic, but I come in and I help them connect their people to their company in a fun, positive, memorable, and meaningful way so that everyone that comes feels that they are appreciated. They know that the company cares about them. They know that they have greatness in them. And when they do that, you see different things like employee turnover decreases, productivity goes up, absenteeism decreases, and overall organizational citizenship improves. So it's been a long journey, but it's been a really, really incredible seeing the results and seeing how I'm able to help impact people's lives.
That's the real magic. It sounds like to me.
Yes.
Yeah, that's well, you can bringing that to the table. Yeah, that's the real magic. I like that. You know. So in your business, you know, we've you've talked about your life challenges. Now, your business challenges. What have been your biggest business challenges?
Honestly, my biggest business challenge has been my mindset because I've built this incredible business, but for the longest time, I didn't want anyone to know
Mm,
because I didn't feel like I deserved it. I I kept telling myself, "Oh, I'm not good enough," and so I'd have people who would stumble across, and that's really how it happened. Is they would stumble across my website and they call up and say, "Hey, I want to learn more." So I tell them about it. We have to have you at our event. It's like, okay, well, if you insist, I guess I'll come. And then they throw all this money at me. They hire me, and then we have an incredible event, and then they keep having me back.
wow.
And I go, gosh, I hope no one else finds out about me because I don't deserve this success. And so, really, it was just staying small because I didn't have the mentality where I thought that I actually deserved success. And as COVID happened and there were some other life challenges, I had to really face those cognitions and I had to really kind of understand what it was that was holding me back and kind of take another look at what I was dealing with. And so over the summer, I started studying Stoicism, which is an ancient Roman philosophy. It dates back over about 2,000 years.
Well,
And one of the big things that it teaches is that there's things that you can control and there's things that you can't control.
right. Yeah.
And so the things that you can't control, your past, the things that have happened to you, your body, what you have to deal with in life,
Mm-hmm.
those things you just accept and you say, how can I use them for my benefit?
Mm-hmm.
The things that you can control are the choices that you make, how you approach different issues. Those are the things that you can control. And if you focus your energy there and then just let everything else be, it starts changing everything. And so as I started studying Stoicism, I was able to start overcoming this mentality, this mental block that I had, and start realizing that I really do deserve success.
Mm-hmm.
And not only that, but what I have to offer, people need that. And
So
it's actually selfish of me to not go out there and share it because what I have can change lives. And if I don't go out there and put myself out there because of my own insecurities, then I'm robbing these people of the opportunity to make their lives better.
wow. Yeah, that's true. That's great. You were able to make that shift. You know, and the Stoicism. So you've been reading Marcus Aurelius.
Marcus Aurelius, Epictetus.
Good
I
stuff.
love Epictetus.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Good stuff. Good stuff, man.
Seneca. I have all of the books
Okay,
and I read it. And then the Daily Stoic as well. That's another one that I really enjoy.
okay. Yeah,
And do the daily meditations there.
great. So, what are your future plans for your business and in your life? You know, what are you looking to expand into?
So in my course, I teach a method called Gas Up, which helps you identify your goals and helps you apply accountability and set stepping stones. And so, one of the things I talk about in there is setting short term, medium, and long term goals. And so, I've actually got goals planned out for the next 25 years.
Wow.
And some of them are pretty adventurous. Like, I have a plan to start a supervillain company in 15 years.
Yeah, that sounds really interesting.
And so I've got all of these stepping stones and everything, but in 15 years I want to start a company and I'm going to call it Another. And now nobody steal this idea, I've yeah, but I'm going to start a company called Another. And I'm going to just hire scientists, hire engineers to just come in, and it's going to be like Thomas Edison.
Uh,
They're going to just come in and just invent.
okay.
And I'll give them the resources and I'll support them and they'll just come in and make stuff. And then another company is going to own the patents. And then we'll find the different companies that we can license it to. And then one of the things I want to do, and this is going to be how we make sure we get the top talent and how we make sure that everyone is being really innovative and really challenging what the world needs, is we're going to actually share the licensing fees with the people who work at the company.
That's great.
And so a scientist comes in, let's say they invent a better type of tape. And then we license that to Scotch for $10 million. And then we give that scientist $2 million of the $10 million.
Okay.
Now, all of a sudden, he's already well paid, or she's already well paid. But because they got that portion of the licensing fee, everyone else that's there realizes that if they go out there and if they give their best, they get to share in the profits, because they're not just there as an employee, they're actually part of what makes up the company. And then I say it's my supervillain company because I imagine it'll be just another company making laser beams, dabbling in pharmaceuticals, and selling stuff to the military. But my entire why in life is I want to make a difference. I'm super creative. I love finding things that don't exist and finding new ways to do it. That's one of the things I enjoy most about magic. And so everything I want to do in life is to make other people's lives better, to be able to make the world a better place. And for that reason, I charge obscene amounts of money for my corporate clients. But the reason I do that is because then I get to go to places like Stopping the Abuse Before It Begins, and I get to help out there, or with the Little Fork Family Advocacy Center. That's another event. I'm working their fundraiser, and I'm not charging them anything.
Wow.
And so I get to go to organizations that are causes I care about, with like child abuse, sexual assault, and addiction. And I get to go and help them. I get to help them structure their events. I get to help them fundraise and provide a service that they can't afford with their limited budget, completely for free. And it's really subsidized by all of my corporate clients. If I could, I would just do that every single day. But I still got to pay the bills. And so, I help out where I can. And really that's what I want to do in life. I want to start that company. And with that company, I want to be able to make advancements in this world and bring new technologies to the world, make everyone's lives better, make the people who work for my company better. And then ultimately, I'm hoping that I can be a billionaire at 25 and just sit and help startups and just, give them money, be like Shark Tank, but a little less sharky. Throughout the course of my life, I want to just help other people have the success that I've had, and help other people who have been where I've been to be able to pull themselves out of those situations. And I think I've got the tools, and I'm developing the platform, I'm developing the audience, and I just want to make a difference in life. That's really all I'm trying to do.
Well, it sounds like you're well on your way to doing that. And
Thank you.
I'm sure that you will be a billionaire.
That's the plan. That's the goal. 25 years out. So it's a while, but we'll see.
On or before 25 years from now.
Yes.
You know the language. So Daniel, tell us about the memory tricks that you do. I had the opportunity to see you on a webinar, as well as when we spoke together at the Main Seat Mastermind event last month in Alpharetta, Georgia. And I remember we were all in the restaurant after the event, and you had just met everybody that day, and we were all scattered around the restaurant, and you remembered every single person's name at the event. So
yes.
Tell us more about your memory tricks.
So I'm a sucker for old knowledge. You see, all those memory tricks, those are things that people used to do normally back before we had technology, back before we had even writing. Before that was really established, we had different memory techniques. And I actually learned all of my techniques from Ron White. He's not the comedian Ron White, but Ron White, he's a 2-time US memory champion, and he has a program called Black Belt Memory.
Wow.
And it actually started about, 3 or 4 years ago. I was looking at new things that I could add to my act, and I saw someone do a memory demonstration, and I thought, hey, that's pretty cool. And I was trying to figure out how I could do it. And one day I was reading the news, and I saw this news article pop up saying that they had done this brain scan on this memory champion, and his brain was exactly like everyone else's. There was nothing bigger in the prefrontal cortex. You know, he didn't have any extra gyres or anything. He was able to do it with just a regular brain. And then it went on and talked about how it's all about techniques. And when I read that, I thought, well, if it's all techniques, then that's something I can do.
Yeah.
And so I started reaching out. I looked up all the memory experts, and that's how I eventually found Ron White. And I found him and I reached out and I said, hey, can you teach me how to use my memory? And he actually had the black belt memory program at the time. And so I took it and I went through it, and then I went through it again, and I just loved it. And I started practicing it. I created a major system, the memory palace. I started learning how to do everything. And one of the things that they teach is how to be able to remember names.
Yeah.
And so I ended up I took that course. I went and I took the seminar live. I probably went through that course like 3 different times.
Wow.
And then when he came out with his certified memory instructor, I said, I've got to do that.
Yeah.
And so then I took his course on how to teach it. And so now I'm actually a black belt memory certified trainer. And so I can teach these techniques to anyone. I can teach them how to memorize a speech. I can teach them how to remember people's names. So, you know, when your sales team is having their annual sales kickoff or something and you want to improve sales, one of the ways that you improve sales is remember your customers' names. And I mean, it sounds so simple, but it's something that so many people struggle with. And it's because they've never trained their brain. It's not because anyone has a bad memory. It's just an untrained memory. Mm-hmm. And so if any of you have a sales team or any of you want to bring me in, I'm happy to give any of those presentations and teach your team how to memorize names, teach your teams how to use a memory like a mentalist.
Yeah. I'm sure a lot of people could use that. Yeah. So as we're getting a little close to wrapping things up in a few minutes, give some advice for people starting out in business, starting out maybe in life where, you know, they've overcome some challenges, how they can, you know, overcome those challenges and reach a level of success, you know, where they feel comfortable and have overcome those things in life.
So Mark Victor Hansen has a book called Ask, and it talks about, well, it's pretty self-explanatory with the book title. It's Ask. It talks about asking questions and asking for help and asking in general. And anytime that you want something, you've got to ask yourself, you've got to ask others, and you've got to ask God or your higher power. And this is something that I've found has really helped me as well, especially in the more recent years. In my course, Create Your Own Luck, I teach that luck is really a fallacy, because luck is where preparation meets opportunity. Mm-hmm. Opportunities are constantly around us. But if you want to have success, you've got to do that preparation. You've got to be ready to receive them. And so I teach a principle, gas up, which is goals and setting a deadline, asking for help and accountability, identifying stepping stones, understanding opportunities, and then perform. You've got to actually act on them.
Yeah.
And so you've got to create stepping stones. You've got to create accountability. Accountability is a very important thing. That's actually something that I have coming up. I'm starting a little coaching course for the new year. It's just 5 coaching calls. It's going to be starting on December 31st. For anyone who has ever gotten down on themselves because they didn't keep their New Year's resolution, this course is for you. Because what we're going to do on December 31st is we're going to talk about how to set an achievable goal. We're going to talk about setting an achievable resolution. And then over the next 5 weeks, you're going to have access to a private Facebook group where we're going to help keep you accountable, where you can have daily check-ins. And then each week we're going to talk about mindset. We're going to talk about goals. We're going to talk about how to follow through and how to start changing your mindset so that those resolutions become habits. Yes. Because if you want to succeed, whether it's in business, whether it's in life, it starts with your habits. And it starts small. It starts with a choice. As Jim Rohn says, it's easy to do, but it's also easy not to do. Yeah. And so accountability is so important, And that's why I'm doing this course, is because that accountability aspect is going to be the key to people keeping their resolutions. You've got to find people that are going to help keep you accountable. Find people in your support group that you can check in with. When you set a big goal, announce it to the world. When you put it out there, it's out there. If you're going to write a book, put it on Facebook, announce it to everyone, say, I'm writing a book. And then people are going to help keep you accountable. Hey, didn't you say you were writing a book? Oh, I haven't worked on it in 3 months. I should get back to it.
Yeah.
And so now you're back to it because you put it out there. Other people, they say, I'm going to write a book, and they never tell anyone. 6 years later, they haven't even started. That accountability is huge. And so really, it's about taking those small steps. And if you want a structured course that'll help you identify those steps, that'll help you to develop that luck, or if you want to actually keep your New Year's resolutions this week, I think Sid's going to put up the link.
Yeah.
You can actually check out these courses. For anyone who's listening to this podcast, if you put in the coupon code DDD, the 3Ds, so just DDD, you'll actually save $25 on either the course or on the coaching.
That's great. Yep. I'll put the link in the comments.
Yeah, and that's only good through Christmas, the 25 off, and to the first 20.
Now. And just so people know, I have Daniel's book.
There it is.
That's it. One thing to change everything. It's a great book. Definitely check him out. Like I said, I've seen Daniel do his thing in person. It's incredible. He can teach you to do the same, and you will not regret taking Daniel's course, taking instruction from him, having him as an accountability coach. Definitely check him out. It's been great having you on, Daniel.
Thank you. It's been a pleasure to be on. You're awesome. Keep doing what you do.
Thank you. And as you write your books and you come out with more courses, hey, we'll have you back on, man.
All right. Sounds good. I'm looking forward to it.
All right. This is Sid Owsley from the Determination Determines Destination podcast, the 3Ds to Success, where we share stories of people who use the 3Ds to success. Determination determines destination to overcome obstacles and challenges in life. Thank you. Good night.